let's get on with the, I would call it the main event, but it's actually just continuation of the jams now. So, we have been very lucky to get along with the Pi guy, Matthew Timmins Brown, and he's going to introduce himself mainly, so I'm not going to say an awful lot more, so welcome to the jam.
Okay, hello, and hello on the live stream, including my grandma. So, as Tim just said, my name is Matt, and I am the Raspberry Pi guy. Today I'm going to be talking to you about something that I call journeying through Pi, and I'm sure quite a few of you in here will have experienced what I've experienced, but this talk is more aimed at people who are thinking about getting a Pi, kind of just playing around with the ideas. So, first I think it would be best if you knew a little bit more about me. So as I said, my name is Matt, I'm 14, I'm doing my GCSEs, and programming electronics is my passion. And for the past year I have run a Raspberry Pi YouTube channel called the RaspberryPiGuy, and more recently a website, and so here's my channel. I do all sorts of videos on the Raspberry Pi, so everything from tutorials to comparison videos, all sorts. And I try to make sure that they're really beginner friendly, and I deliver them to 14,000 subscribers, and I think that the total views are somewhere between 500,000 and 600,000. So put your hand up if you've heard of it already. Or yes. Now you've all heard of me now. So no excuses. So that's enough about me. Now I'll explain what I'll be talking about. So, journeying through Pi is slightly vague, and that's on purpose. This is because the Raspberry Pi is quite a hard topic to discuss about, personally, I think, in front of all you lot. So what I'm going to talk about is the fact that the Raspberry Pi, it can seem quite daunting, and therefore rather off-putting. When you dip into Pi and computers and programming electronics, it's so easy to get put off by the sheer amount of jargon and terminology that's used, a bit like in this cartoon here. And that was really when I started, so I've only been interested in computers for about pretty much since the Pi was first announced, and that's only about 2 years. And that was pretty much me at the start, so trying to understand everything is the wrong way to go about it, I can assure you. So what I'm going to attempt to do in the next 13 minutes is to show everyone, and especially the more inexperienced members of the audience, that computing, programming and electronics is within the reach of everyone. So I've been a follower of the Raspberry Pi for quite some time now, pretty much since the very beginning, when it was just a small-scale invention. And look where we are today, over 2 million Pis worldwide, which makes for a hell of a community, and it's great fun and astronomical change all across the globe. And I'm proud to say that the Pi has changed my life, and that's for the better. So, 2 years ago, as I said before, I hadn't really started the stuff that I do today. I was interested in consumer electronics, and I kind of knew about computers, but then again, I didn't know about proper computers. I didn't know what programming was, I didn't know how any of them worked. I was the typical consumer. You should get fed by the big companies like Apple. You should buy this because it does this, and you've always wanted it, that type of thing. And I could rattle off facts, but I never really knew what I was talking about, to be honest. And so 2 years ago, almost, I read in a tiny little article in the corner of a magazine about this new credit card sized device called a Raspberry Pi. And there's only about 50 words in the article, so it was pretty vague. And I was intrigued by it, but mainly because Raspberry Pi is such a weird name. And then I got quite excited about all of the possibilities of a computer that's both credit card size and £30. It's inexpensive, and you can pretty much do what you want with it. So I did a lot of research into it, and pretty much that's exactly what happened to me. Because back in the early days of the Pi, everything was quite technical and sort of aimed at developers, as much as they didn't want it to be. And it was quite hard for a beginner back then. And that was, as I said, 2 years ago, and before I knew it, I was just like in that cartoon. But a lot of work, a lot of hard work, some of my own, has gone into making the Pi something that's far more accessible and far more usable for everyone, including their target market, which is, of course, children. So, the next months after that had purpose for me. To learn about computers. So, I did a lot of research, a lot of Googling, I can tell you that, and it's tremendous fun. You learn all about how computers work, and the way to go about it is not, as in this cartoon, you can't just start doing this and expect to know everything, because before you know it, you'll get overwhelmed by the sheer amount of jargon and stuff that's associated with this topic. It's sort of just go at it slowly, and that's what I did. And before I knew it, I knew a fair bit, but of course I still didn't have a Pi, and that was kind of the purpose of me being interested in computers. And so the year's now 2012, and the month was February, and I remember, and I'm sure some of you will as well, seeing this on the RaspberryPiGuy website. And this was, of course, the original announcement for the release of the Pi. And so the 29th of February was when it was released, and that's a Wednesday, so it's a school day for me. And pretty much thousands and thousands and thousands of people got up early at 6 o'clock and smashed the F5s with their keyboards in the hope to get one out of the 10,000 Pis available. I was going to, but I was a teenager, so I sat through it. So I missed the first chance to get my hands on a Pi, and it turned out that I actually had to wait until July to actually hold one and to actually be able to use it. And when I did, I can say that it was the best £30 I've ever spent in my life. It was tremendous fun, and I learned all about programming, and finally I had this device that I can actually do all of these things on. You can't make LEDs flash and control robots on your desktop PC, and even if you could, I'm pretty sure that my parents wouldn't have allowed me to. So it was freedom, and it kind of unlocked this area, this hobby. And I did pretty much all the projects on there, so now I get to use my laser pointer. I'll turn it on. So everything from learning to program, so that's a bit of Python up there. So now I know quite a bit of Python, and that's great fun, and strangely, it's strangely peaceful. People associate programming and with stressful, long algorithms which you have to spend ages on, but it's really not. It's just taking a problem and breaking it down into small steps, and it's really quite feasible. And you don't have to be the cleverest person in your school, or you don't have to be amazing at maths or English. It's understandable for everyone. And then, whilst programming is cool and building your own games and things is absolutely amazing, personally, what I find the most exciting is stuff like this, building robots and flashing lights and all sorts. And that's what I did. So build robots, get them to trundle around, see whether you can make them go faster, see what you can add to them, can you make them wireless, etc. And learning about sort of the terminal and real computing. And as I said, the Pi served to unlock this. But this was in the early days of the Pi, and everything was quite technical for a complete novice such as myself. There were a couple of tutorials online, but because they were so early on, they don't have the same traction as they do nowadays. And it was hard, and it seemed to me that I stumbled on pretty much every single problem in the book, everything from getting an SD card to work, which was a lot harder back then, to actually just using it. But I learned, and finally I got to a reasonable knowledge level, and I thought, well, why don't I make this easier for everyone else? And so I set up the RaspberryPiGuy, which is my YouTube channel, which I mentioned earlier. And what my channel aimed to do, it's got about 30 videos on there now, was to offer tutorials and helpful videos that will make people want to be interested in Pi, and to actually get people to do the kind of projects that they enjoy doing. So I've got everything from comparison videos to know which board to buy. I've got videos on all of the fun electronic stuff, like how to control motors, and everything from playing games to camera tutorials and electronics, and they're just a few of my videos. And I had great fun making my YouTube channel, and that's quite good, because there's always been a saying that if you want to learn something, the best way to do it is to kind of get a base knowledge and then teach someone else. And it does work, strangely. And well, I also advertise my email address, the RaspberryPiGuy@gmail.com, and to see if anyone has any problem with a tutorial, or they want to know whether this would work with a Pi, etc. And I get loads of emails every day. I try to answer all of them, though I have to admit that sometimes I don't. But I try to, at least once a week, just get through all of them. And the sheer multitude of projects and people's ideas is absolutely amazing. I have everything from people making underwater remotely operated vehicles with the Raspberry Pi to people just starting out with trying to get an LED to flash. And it's absolutely incredible, the range of things that you can do. And the Pi enables all of this. It allows you to program, it allows you to make robots. And as I said, I've had great fun using the Pi. As I said, that was back in the early days when the Pi was a lot harder to use. However, now because the Pi's been going for well over a year now, almost coming up to 2 years since its actual release, the Pi's a lot easier to access, and I couldn't recommend it more. So, if you're debating on getting a Pi, if you don't know whether you'd be able to use it, or if you think that, oh, I'm not a technical whiz, then I think that you shouldn't need to debate, because the Pi is an incredible, inexpensive tool that allows everyone to bypass the barriers set up by big companies that they're just consumerism, really, that you can just get past all of it and get back into raw computing. And personally, I find that a lot more fun, and I'm sure when you guys get into it, then you will. I also got to say that there is a very friendly Raspberry Pi community. As I said, I offer tutorials, and there are other people online, like Matthew Manning, who gives away, offering tutorials out there and carry up there. And as I say, we're a very friendly community, and we answer everyone's questions, and so there's no need to be afraid of just diving in, really. And the benefits of getting into programming and computers are extraordinary. As I said, it's very fun, but also it's tremendously educational, and it's a great thing to do. So I'm just going to show you a video that will demonstrate that.
I was 13 when I first got access to a computer. My parents bought me a Macintosh in 1984 when I was 8 years old.
I was in 6th grade.
I learned to code in college.
Freshman year, first semester, intro to computer science.
I wrote a program to play tic-tac-toe.
I think it was pretty humble beginnings. I think the first program I wrote asked things like, what's your favorite color? Or how old are you?
I first learned how to make a green circle and a red square appear on the screen.
The first time I actually had something come up and say, hello world, and I made a computer do that. It was just astonishing.
Learning a program didn't start off as wanting to learn all of computer science or trying to master this discipline or anything like that. It just started off because I wanted to do this one simple thing. I wanted to make something that was fun for myself and my sisters, and I wrote this little program and then basically just add a little bit to it. And then when I needed to learn something new, I looked it up, either in a book or on the internet, and then added a little bit to it.
It's really not unlike kind of playing an instrument or something.
Whether you're trying to make a lot of money or whether you just want to change the world, computer programming is an incredibly empowering skill to learn.
I think if someone had told me that software is really about humanity, that it's really about helping people by using computer technology, it would have changed my outlook a lot earlier.
To be able to actually come up with an idea and then see it in your hands and then be able to press a button and have it be in millions of people's hands, I I think we're the first generation in the world that's really ever had that kind of experience.
Just to think that you can start something in your college dorm room and you can have a set of people who haven't built a big company before come together and build something that 1 billion people use as part of their daily lives is just crazy to think about, right? It's humbling and it's amazing.
The programmers of tomorrow are the wizards of the future. You know, you're going to look like you have magic powers compared to everybody else.
It's amazing. I think it's the closest thing we have to a superpower.
Great coders are today's rock stars.
That's it.
Okay, so that was a slightly condensed version of a video that, a promotional video about why you should code and get into computers. And I'm still trying to work out why Will.i.am is in it. So that video just demonstrated that programming is fun and educational, and it gets you into some absolutely incredible jobs and job opportunities. So, in conclusion, the Raspberry Pi is an incredible device that makes computers, programming and electronics accessible. It influences your way of thinking. It enables you to think about problems more clearly and logically, and it's tremendous fun. Everything from Minecraft Pi Edition to building robots, it's just absolutely fascinating, and it has changed my life. So, final slide. So, I think that's about it. I was just wondering if anyone had any questions to do with either my experiences with Pi or anything similar. Yeah?
If you wanted to create a robot with the Pi, could you create it from anything and then put a certain software, a computer in it to make sure it works and moves wirelessly, or does a Pi provide you with the things you need?
So, in terms of building wireless robots with a Pi, then it's really easy. All you need is a Pi and a couple of motors, because all you're going to need is a Wi-Fi dongle, and you plug that in, wire up your motors. I've got tutorials on my YouTube channel, and plug it in, program it, just do some simple programming in Python or Scratch, depends, and again I cover that in my tutorials, and there you go, you can have a robot that trundles around. On my stall up in the show and tell area, I have a simple robot that just uses a Pi, nothing else. Any more questions? Yep.
Well, I wanted to ask, because I would like to learn some programming as well, and I'm about 11 right now. How did you learn the programming in Python and everything? Did you look it up on Google?
Great question, great question. So people imagine programming as something that's quite hard to learn, but truth be told, it's quite easy. What I did was I bought a book originally, but I found that some of the material in the book was a bit out of date. And then the book good for kind of the base knowledge, but after that, then you can just use Google. And for example, there's a really good website called codecademy.com, and they have lots of sort of exercises to work through, and that's what I use now. Okay, question?
Do you think the Pi would be connected to technology in the future?
The Pi technology in the future? That's a good philosophical question. So you're wondering if the Pi would you might see it in future life?
Yeah.
Well, I can't tell the future. I'm sorry about that, but there is definitely possibilities for the Pi. For example, people use them for quadcopters and all sorts. So you never know where you might see them. So companies like W.H. Smith, I've seen, or some company, they were using their Christmas tree lights were controlled with tweets with a Raspberry Pi. So you never know. But in terms of far future, then I think that you're just going to look back on the Raspberry Pi nostalgically. But I can't tell, but I'm sure that there will be plenty of uses for it.
Is there anything you do these tutorials and these projects.
Yeah.
Is there any project with a Pi that you really want to do that you haven't managed to do yet? Something that you want to do in the future? Oh. Like you want to make an autonomous quadcopter fly around your houses?
Yeah. I've always really liked robots. So I have robots that trundle around, and whilst they're cool, I think the pinnacle of robot awesomeness is quadcopters, hexacopters, and octocopters. What I'd love to do, I'd love to make a Raspberry Pi quadcopter. Currently, it's a bit expensive and quite hard, but it's still going to be up there in my dreams.
Do you mean hard as in you haven't got to that level? Do you maybe learning Python yourself for a couple of years? You haven't got to that level in your coding, or do you mean just until you haven't got to get your head around it yet?
Well, it's kind of the Pi isn't. I think I could program it because they're not too hard to program. However, it's just the fact that the Pi isn't the kind of ideal device for a quadcopter. But it's it's time consuming, and then you always run the risk that you code it some way, and then £300 worth of hardware go up and then come straight back down and crash. You
It's
lose all
actually
your
one
money.
in this month's.
Yeah, Magpie. I saw that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the Magpie is a Raspberry Pi community magazine that's available for free, and then, as Matthew just said, it's available for free, and they show a quadcopter in that one. It's kind of a quick guide to building one. Yeah.
Just to ask one last question. Can the Raspberry Pi be powered by batteries for some good amount of time?
So the Pi uses 5 volts of power, and that means that it's very easy to power it off of batteries. For example, I like just using emergency phone chargers. You might have seen them that sort of take 2 batteries, or they're rechargeable, and then they've got a micro USB slot comes off of them, and they're kind of ideal for charging your iPhone when it runs out of power. But they're also compatible with the Pi, and you can just plug those in. Or you can, if you learn a bit more about electronics, then you can use batteries, etc. Last question.
In terms of the robot which trundles around,
yeah.
What sort of cost would that be to kind of get the parts, and how long would it take to fit it all together and put all the code on to make it do things?
Great. So robots that just move around, they're not that expensive. So you can, the easiest type of robot is just a 2-wheeled robot with sort of a stabilizer wheel at the back. So that way then you can get 2-wheeled sort of turning on the spot. And I made one of those for about £50, including a Pi. So motors aren't too expensive, and motor controllers aren't too expensive. And then all you've got to really pay for are the batteries and the chassis, and then you've made it. And of course then you can add to it. Coding in Python, coding a robot in Python or Scratch, that isn't too taxing either. And so it's one of the best beginner projects because it can really kindle a passion for programming and robotics. Okay, I think that's all we've got time for.
Thank you, Matt.
Thanks.